I think recycling is
My opinion on recycling.
I think recycling is
My views on recycling is that
I think recycling.
For recycling, and I think
Recycling's
E-recycling is, well, I think it's a great way to eliminate waste and identify areas where we use our resources excessively, and I think any means to reduce that waste or maybe use less energy in the long run, especially as we're just talking about being an engineer, makes it more efficient, just the general system, because it's so complicated in the world that in order to get things out there, it's understandable there's waste. E-recycling is doing everything you can, whether it's material-wise or maybe even just your day-to-day routine. Recycle is a good thing, but not everything's really recyclable, right? There's always further things down the supply chain that you got to take care of. And I think at times it's a lot of upfront work is what they expect people to do. Living in the city of Cleveland, we have obviously we have our waste bins and then also in the recycling bins. So an easy way is to recycle glass, reusable plastic, and at least just doing that every week. Say if I have to get a part made, it's doing the necessary steps like calculations. So what's the minimum amount of material I need to make that? Therefore, we're not using more raw materials, at least in the business side of things. And then at least in my company and other companies, the amount of scrap we have, at least in manufacturing, in my business, it's kind of scary how much we just kind of say, well, let's just scrap it. But that being said, if there's ways you can have better quality checks, better equipment when you're manufacturing, or just a more robust way to find major defects and what's usable and not usable, at least in the workforce, I think is a way that I kind of recycle, or at least I at least am conscious of waste.
I think recycling's good for the planet, and I think that people I think you should recycle for the most part. I know in Cleveland it doesn't really matter because it all goes to the same place, but I think it's important to recycle, yeah. Mostly by chucking stuff in the recycling bin, but I reuse a lot. Like the reduce, reuse, recycle. It's a lot of junk that I turn into different junk. I don't know, I feel like most people have a recycling bin, but it seems to I feel like a lot of people are kind of jaded and disenfranchised with recycling, the whole planet's falling apart.
so I think recycling is important for our environment. It helps keep it clean, and also, we can reuse that plastic and everything. It avoids any contaminating from the materials that are thrown in the ocean or pretty much anywhere in our environment. It also saves a lot of the energy. I don't know if you watched this movie, but I saw this movie at one of my classes. They collect garbage from the ocean, and there's a lot, literally tons. But they've also found sea animals get stuck onto the garbage that's thrown in the water. So I think that's kind of one of the most important things. Recycling saves the animals' lives. There are still a lot of people that don't do it, and you can see even when I'm on the road, I've seen some people just throw the garbage. As they're driving, they will open their window and just toss it out. So I see that not a lot of people are recycling. They know it's important, but they still don't do it.
뭔가 자원이 한정돼 있잖아. 플라스틱 같은 경우는 처리하는 데 비용이 많이 들죠. 그거를 재활용을 할 수 있으면 제품을 다시 생산하고 처리하는 데 드는 비용이 적어지니까. I think many people do recycling in Korea, and I heard that is more than 90% materials are recycled. But I think the problem is that after people recycled all the things, it is not reused properly by some companies doing recycling. So I think it is an important issue to change in Korea. At a point that we meet the limit, we should change our technologies to use materials more efficiently. 그런 데서 이제 사람들한테 정보 제공을 하고 그거를 개선할 수 있게 하는 것도 중요하고, 그거 말고는 지금 현재 이제 재활용이 많이 돼도 그게 다 재활용 수거 업체 이런 데로 들어가는데 그런 업체에서는 자기들 이윤이 나지 않으면 재활용을 하지 않으니까 그 수거업체 말고도 다른 방식으로 좀 재활용할 수 있는 게 없는가 이런 것도 중요하다고 생각합니다. 그러니까 제품을 생산하는 업체가 재활용이 가능하게 바꾸던가 아니면 그 생산하는 업체가 재활용 역할까지 도맡게 하는.
I think recycling is very important. Anytime you can reuse a previously manufactured product, whether it's glass, plastic, paper products, or cardboard. I think another good thing about recycling is that it is a business and it's a good business. So reusing and reprocessing those products brings jobs and things like that.
나 한국은 재활용이 보편화돼 있잖아. 어느 지역으로 가든 재활용이 그 주기마다 그냥 계속 되고 재활용 할 수 있는지 없는지 그런 봉투도 따로 그냥 세분화돼 있고 우리나라 시스템이 일단 잘 갖춰져 있다고 생각해. 긍정적이지 재활용에 대해서. 일단 대한민국 사람들 자체가 재활용을 일단 친숙하고 그리고 일단 요즘 대체적으로 사회 키워드가 친환경이니까 재활용이 좋을 수밖에 없지.
Well, I'm for recycling and I think it's an important part of our everyday lives. I've even gone as far as to buy soap and shampoo that don't require you to have the shampoo bottles, which saves on recycling. It saves on the environment because then you don't have to worry about throwing away and it having to be recycled. So I really do think recycling is an important part of our lives and it's an investment in our kids' future.
So, what are your opinions on recycling?
My opinion on recycling. I'm definitely for recycling. I think it's important. I think it is important for our environment and for future generations. Right now, it seems like landfills are already overrun with so much waste. I think that it ends up, especially with plastics, gets in the wrong hands. And it gets into our oceans and our rivers, and when that happens, then fish end up trying to consume plastics, and there's just so many bad things that happen as a result. My only concern with recycling is that it seems like lately people don't know what to recycle.
I really think that we need to leave the environment in a better place for our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. As a matter of fact, in our house, we have a recycling bin that we keep all of our recyclables separate, of which we take out each week and is collected by our township. In addition, where I work, we separate everything from paper, plastic, to regular manufactured goods that are disposed of in our regular trash. The paper and plastic are taken for recycling and then remade into other objects like bottles and other uses.
My views on recycling is that it's good for the environment. It helps with climate change and stops that. Good for animals so then they don't choke on plastic. It's good for renewable energy so we don't have to run out of energy very quickly on this earth.
Did you learn about recycling in school?
I did, and mostly about climate change and about factories using renewable energy to help make more energy for this earth.
Well, we do it at my house, so I think it's useful.
이제 내가 읽은 포스트피크라는 책이 있어. MIT 교수가 쓴 책인데 그 책에서 말하는 게 사람들의 마음을 바꿔서 환경운동을 하는 것만으로는 한계가 있다. 아무리 자원의 사용량을 줄여도 어느 순간은 하기에 동하고 결국에 우리가 지구온난화를 막거나 환경 문제를 해결하기 위해서는 자원을 효율적으로 사용하는 기술들이 개발이 되어야 된다고. 거기에는 재생에너지나 태양에너지 뭐 이런 것도 들어갈 수 있겠지.
근데 아무리 보편화돼 있다 하더라도 사람들이 솔직히 그냥 귀찮잖아. 조금만 서로 배려하면 좀 살면 좋겠다고.